Aladdin, this is obviously the live-action remake of the 1992 film of the same name. It is now directed by Guy Ritchie. It stars Will Smith, Naomi Scott, and Mena Massoud. And again, this is a live-action Disney remake. We've seen them before: Jungle Book, Beauty and the Beast, Dumbo, Cinderella. It's happened before, and it's happening again. And this is one of Hot Topic, very, very hot topic after the trailer dropped. I even did a video, not necessarily on the trailer itself, but on the whole aspects of the Disney live-action remakes. If you want to check that out, in the description below. But this movie obviously again follows the same story that we know and love of Aladdin. Aladdin is this street rat that falls in love with the princess and has to prove himself, finds a genie. The genie obviously helps him get there, but he has to fight off the evil plans of Jafar. Now, I'm going to say it, I really enjoy this movie. I don't know if that's a hot take, I don't know if that's a mild take. This movie has been so mixed, and just a mixed bag of people liking it, really liking it, not liking it, thinking it was okay. Now let's start off with something that has a huge impact of the film and whether it will be good or whether you like it or not, and that is the cast. The cast of Will Smith, Mena Massoud, Naomi Scott, and the dude that plays Jafar that I'm forgetting. But Will Smith as the genie crushed it. He didn't try to be Robin Williams, he just did his own version of the character, not trying to compete with him, not trying to be better than him, but, you know, live up to his reputation that this character was. And he did a fantastic job. He was very, very entertaining. His songs are very, very entertaining. He made the movie a lot better every time he was in a scene, as well as Naomi Scott as Jasmine. I think she was better than the original animation character because they obviously added layers to it, which I'll get into later, but she was really, really good. Her voice was great. Her acting was great. She embodied the character, which was kind of that strong female character in the original Aladdin, and I loved it. And those two really helped the film, Will Smith particularly. Now, the other two, Aladdin and Jafar. Now, Aladdin was decent. I didn't dislike Mena Massoud. I thought he did a decent job. He didn't really up the film, but he didn't take away from the film either. I think it's really hard to embody that kind of character that is Aladdin, but Jafar, the actor, I don't know your name, apologies, wasn't that great. I don't think it was his fault. I think he was just miscast. His voice was just not powerful. He didn't really come off menacing. He just came off like kind of like he came off for what he wanted to be, but didn't really ever deliver that. I think when it comes to Jafar and what Jafar was in the original, it was he's menacing. He's a very dark, brooding kind of voice, but he can kind of play around with a bit of fun with it. And I think he never got to that point. He was kind of less charismatic. He was kind of always plateaued in this same, I want to fill the world with my powerful plans, and I want the lamp, Aladdin. And that was pretty much it out of that character. It was not much else, and you didn't really get that menacing, as well as the bird Iago. I can't pronounce that fucking name. The parrot that Jafar has didn't really talk in this movie, which kind of didn't help, because that was kind of a thing that really helped in the first Aladdin was Jafar, and like him having this kind of sidekick. He didn't really have the sidekick, it was kind of just his pet in this one, as well as Abu kind of took a back role as well, which it sounds weird because it is just a monkey, but he wasn't really as much of a sidekick as I wanted him to be with Aladdin. But the cast was mainly held together by Will Smith. He crushed it. Now, positive, let's get into them. The music was fucking awesome, and yes, I know it's been done before. We know that. These songs are, for a reason, classics. They really killed most of them. A Friend Like You, A Friend Like Me, Will Smith's version of that song is phenomenal. That scene with the visuals, perfect, awesome. I love that scene so much. Prince Ali was pretty good as well. A Whole New World was good. Little bit off with Street Rat, Take That, Scoundrel, blah blah blah. That song, I fucking forget the name. I'll put it on the screen for you guys. Was a bit off in that song, but mostly they delivered, as well as Jasmine had a song in this movie that was really, really good. Speechless, really good, really helped a lot to her character, built her character, and really portrayed the whole female can do it themselves, which I liked, because that was kind of a Disney-esque thing as damsel in distress. This song didn't necessarily make her a damsel in distress, but I really liked it. It added a layer to the original film. Now, the actual visuals themselves, I really enjoyed. The color scheme of this movie was really, really nice to look at. The CG worked for the most part. Say what you want about the blue genie, I think it worked surprisingly well. Just the look of some of the things they did just looked really, really nice to look at, really family friendly. And that's the whole thing. This movie's just fun, it's family friendly, it's entertaining, and it does its job. Now, is it a perfect movie? No, and I'll get into that in a second, but people complaining that this movie's the same. It's a remake. That's the whole point. I know you can say, what's the point of making a remake? It's going to make the same. They didn't. They added some bits that really helped the film when it comes to a character more. They added in what was, her name was Darla. She was the handmaid, and her character really added to the film. A little bit more of story for Jasmine added to the film. A little bit extra layer on Genie added to the film, and I really like that. And it's live action. That's the difference. Even if you copy and paste in the movie, just seeing the live action is a totally different thing. It is getting to see these characters in real life, and to new kids as well. You can say, oh, well, this is shit. This 30-year-old guy reviewing Aladdin, you can say it's bad, but what about those 5-year-old kids that get to watch this for the first time? This is, you got your Aladdin, they're getting theirs, and I think it delivers on that aspect of being a fun, entertaining, family-friendly movie. Now, there is some negatives, because as I said, it isn't the most perfect movie, and I definitely feel like I liked it more than a lot of people are liking this film. The negatives are there. I think Guy Ritchie was a poor choice of director. He just didn't fit with this well. Like, the movie itself and him just didn't gel together. There was just kind of bits that you could see, oh, that's very Guy Ritchie, but it just didn't really fit with the rest of the movie. Maybe it was hard directing musical, because he's not a big musical director as such. But I don't think he was a great fit. As well as there was a couple of things when it just felt like a play at times. I think part of the set and just the way they were acting was a bit playish, and like it was like we're literally sitting in front of a stage watching it, which isn't a bad thing, but it just kind of didn't feel as cinematic as it should. And I think that comes with as well another negative, and that's just not being. I feel like the whole movie at parts, more towards the end and more towards the start, needed a bit more charisma, a bit more oomph into them at times. The end, I think, still works. It's similar to the original ending, basically spot on to the original ending with some slight tweaks. No spoilers. I suppose it is a spoiler, but it's a remake, so they didn't blow it up. Apologies if I, but they do change little things where they keep true to the story, but it just felt like a little more finesse. And I feel like that would come with a bit more out of Aladdin, and especially a lot more out of the actor that played Jafar. Again, I don't think it's his fault, because I think he's just miscast. It would be like chucking, I don't know, Brad Pitt to do it. I mean, he might do a good job, but some characters and some actors just don't work well no matter how hard you work, and I feel like this is the case with that. But I did definitely enjoy this film. I think this is one of the first times where I'm kind of, some of the critics are really shitting on. I'm usually on the critics' side of being like, I can see where you're coming from, but I kind of enjoy it. I like this a lot more than the critics like in this movie. I thought this is really fun. This is definitely a fun time, and I would recommend seeing this. Enjoy it. You can still watch the original if you don't like it. The original is always going to be there. But if you get something new out of it to seeing them in live action, you get a new take on the songs with some new voices and some new scenes that really made me laugh. So I definitely recommend checking this one out. I'm going to give Aladdin a B. Now, I hope you guys liked my review. It might be a bit different to a lot of people. I'm definitely on the higher side of this movie. I'm definitely, if everyone's kind of the mediocre there, the critics down here, I'm up here. I really enjoyed this film. It's definitely a lighter B. I was kind of playing around with a B, B minus kind of area, but I just had so much enjoyment even through the negatives. It was so hard to surpass some of the enjoyment. Like, that second act with like the building up of the genie is phenomenal. It's very entertaining. Prince Ali, Friend Like Me, really, really worked, and I can't ignore that even through some of the negatives. There definitely is some lighter B-side of movies. If you rank some of the movies that I did give B's, quite towards the lower end of this, but I did enjoy it. I don't think it's quite. Maybe I enjoyed it as much as Beauty and the Beast. I don't think it's as good as Beauty and the Beast, and Jungle Book is still really fucking good and hard to beat anyway. I'm looking forward to Lion King. That's the next Disney remake up and running. Apologies if you heard any rain. I will literally show you a clip right now of how hard the rain and hail were going on that I had to stop filming. But that was what it was like, because I had to do the intro, then I stopped, and I nearly started the video, then it stopped. Bunch of pain, so if you heard any rain during the video, I do apologise. Make sure you do give a thumbs up this video, like it goes a long way, or comment your thoughts on the movie or the review. Subscribe, very important, so I've got plenty of cool stuff on its way. Thank you guys for watching, but of course, have a good one.